Okay. So now, so you say you want to be sovereign?
I said I need to be.
Yeah, and well, it's now remember the word. We don't want to use the word sovereign necessarily. You can use
Okay.
it, but just not. You don't want to. It's a trigger word,
Okay.
because the type of game you guys are getting into is not the same. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's not the same game. Oh, dang, there we go. Excuse me. It's not the same game that I was into 15 years ago. 17 years ago. So it's a little more nuanced, and they've been working to
Make it more difficult.
yeah, well, not even more. They've been working to try to destroy y'all. So
Right.
it's like or not even y'all. I'm saying y'all, but sovereign. The sovereign citizen movement, and
Right.
it's different, and it's nuanced because you got Caucasian sovereigns or Caucasian patriots, and then you have the Moors. Then you have the Hebrew Israelites.
Right.
Then you got the Muslims, the Muslims, the Nation of Islam. So you got a whole lot of different statuses for brothers or organizations and different things that brothers can get into. But it's not the correct shit, and it's because that the actual history has been taken, that it leaves you with nothing. So you got to kind of create your own shit and move towards that. But what I'm saying, it basically still leaves you in a second and third class citizenship. So so it goes so much. The reason this stuff is so ill is because you got so many types of people in America, and you got so many different types of status. Like, most people don't even know how many different types of statuses there are on the books. And depending on what you call yourself is how you, excuse me, is how you are, it gives you your rights and privileges within society. So y'all got your Black's Law, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. One of y'all give me look up status.
A person's legal condition, whether personal or proprietary, the sum total of a person's legal rights, duties, liabilities, and other legal relations, or any particular group of them separately considered, the status of a landowner. A person's legal condition regarding it goes into a second meaning.
So say that, to read that first part again.
A person's legal condition, whether personal or proprietary, the sum total of a person's legal rights, duties, liabilities, and other legal relations, or any particular group of them separately considered, the status of a landowner.
So the first part of that said what? It's the legal. Read that part. That's the main part. Read it.
A person's legal condition.
The person's legal condition. A person's legal condition. How you are in society is based on the law. Motherfuckers ain't just sprout up and just walking around here without being unidentified. That's not what a civilization is. A civilization is like, we need to keep order because we got so many people around here. We don't know what's what. Different personalities all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Different philosophies, different emotions. It's just crazy shit going on. So we gotta categorize shit. We gotta put shit in its place. So in status, that lets you know who the hell you are, because we created something, a stratification system where niggas are on the top, and niggas are on the bottom. So you need to tell us who you are so we know how to treat you. Because niggas on the top, they get treated differently than niggas on the bottom. And we can't tell just by looking at you. You need to know for yourself. Come and tell us and then we'll handle it from there. So, so Tish, read the next part of that.
All right, so I was about to ask you. Mine doesn't start off that way.
Wait. First of all, Chris, what dictionary are you reading from?
I'm reading from Black's Law Dictionary, 4th Pocket Edition.
Pocket edition. See, you don't got the big edition. So Tish, read it out of the. You got the big one?
Yes.
All right, read that.
All right, so status is standing, state, or condition.
There you go.
Yeah. Reynolds versus Pennsylvania Oil Company, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you don't need to read.
Say it again.
Yeah, you don't need to read the case.
Okay. The legal relation of individual to rest of the community.
Mm-hmm. The legal relation of an individual to the rest of the community. Keep going.
The rights, duties, capacities, and incapacities which determine a person to a given class.
Bam. So this is very important right here. This is extremely important definition. Because read that. I want you to read that over one more time.
The last part.
Yeah.
Okay. The rights, duties, capacities, and incapacities which determine a person to a given class.
The very first phrase of that was what? The what?
The rights.
The rights. Stop right there. Now, status tells you what your rights are, or what rights you are protected, what rights you have, and and how they're protected. Now, let's go to the 14th Amendment real quick, which frees niggas, which supposedly freed niggas.
Okay.
If status. So we have our Constitution, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
14th Amendment. Read the second part after it says no state shall.
You read that sentence?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws.
Okay, now, we just got to reading the word status, and status said it was your standing or condition, standing, state, or condition, your legal relation to the rest of the community, and the rights, duties, capacities, and incapacities which determine a person to a given class. Now, in this 14th Amendment we just read off, what word is missing?
Rights.
Rights. If status determines your rights, and then you're under a status that has no rights, you fucked.
Right. Makes sense.
So this is something very simple to see if you just read it very carefully. You can see the word rights is written every damn where else, but in the place where it supposedly gives me my freedom. Look at this. Sovereign citizens are a great threat to the U.S. So let's actually watch this for a second and see what they're talking about.
So a new study says that the sovereign citizen movement, think Clive and Bundy, is the #1 threat to American public safety. So what does this mean for the future of counterterrorism policy?
So this is why you need to be very important about calling, or very aware about calling yourself a sovereign. When I became sovereign, this hadn't happened yet.
Right here in the United States, but it's not coming from where you may think. A new study by the National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Responses to Terrorism, or START, has found that the sovereign citizen movement, right here in the United States, poses the biggest terrorist threat to our national security. START found that among law enforcement officials, sovereign citizens were more of a concern than Islamic extremists and domestic militia and patriot groups. Sovereign citizens are Americans who believe that the federal government has no power over them, and that as a result, they're exempt from laws, regulations, and even federal taxes. And when confronted by federal and law enforcement officials, sovereign citizens have proven over and over again that they can be incredibly dangerous. For example, on May 20th, 2010, 2 police officers in West Memphis, Arkansas, thought they were making a normal highway traffic stop. Instead, both officers were shot and killed by the vehicle's occupants, who were members of the sovereign citizen movement. So with law enforcement officials becoming increasingly concerned about sovereign citizens, who exactly are these people? And what's being done to stop more potential violence from them? Joining me now for more on that is Mark Potok, Senior Fellow with the Southern Poverty Law Center and Editor-in-Chief of the SPLC's Intelligence Report. Mark, welcome back.
Well, pleasure to be here, Tom.
Thank you, Mark. Who exactly are sovereign citizens, and what are the beliefs that cause them to identify as such?
Well, it's incredibly complicated, a Byzantine belief system, but essentially they are people who believe that in particular federal laws, tax laws and criminal laws, do not apply to them. They have a whole set of connected beliefs, such as the idea that if you file the right documents, you will be able to wrest from the federal government anywhere between $60,000 and $20 million. They are known for filing really crazy documents with courts, with creating all kinds of fraudulent documents, bank drafts, and so on. And they are also known for their violence. They have been responsible for the murder of 7 law enforcement officers since the year 2000. And there have been a number of other very frightening confrontations, typically on the road, when they are pulled over for driving, because one of the kind of subsidiary beliefs of these people is that the government has no right to require them to have driver's licenses, auto registrations, or insurance.
Wow. You know, the first 2 things that you said, that they can file certain papers with the government and get 20 million. And that's the Nigerian scam kind of stuff. Where does this come from?
It comes from an incredibly weird, complex theory.
Look at how the scam gets the Nigerian scam kind of stuff.
That basically says when the government went off the gold standard in 1933, the money of the government, the dollar bill, became instantly worthless. That ever since then, the government has been, in effect, mortgaging the future of all American citizens, this via their birth certificates. What they are said to do is the government is selling the value of each of our lifelong labors to other governments in order to leverage the debt. They believe that the IRS has secret accounts held in the name of each one of us. So if I or you only knew the correct documents to file with the government, we could break loose.
You know what? It actually does. Did you guys ever see the video that was going around on Facebook of the one guy was giving the account number of the Treasury where that held your he was basically telling you how to access the your Treasury account that had
with the birth certificate number or something like that,
with your Social Security number.
Right, like a bank account, and they like paying bills and stuff with that.
Yeah, did you ever see it? Did you ever try it?
No, heck no. I saw something like that though.
That shit worked.
I won't do it because they're gonna be after you. I mean, is that legal?
It's not legal for them to have an account in your name without you knowing.
Right, I know that. But
that's not legal. So yeah. First of all, the Treasury is a corporation, which we about to go over in a little bit. But the Treasury is a corporation, and so it's the U.S. Treasury Inc. And so why does the U.S. Treasury Inc. Incorporation have a bank account in my name with my Social Security number is a bank account that actually has credit in it, and I've not been notified. That's illegal. So what I did is I tested it to see if it worked. So I went on Amazon and I put the bank account on Amazon, and I ordered. And so most motherfuckers were doing like little shit, but I just wanted to see if it was gonna work. So I ordered like a $1,000 computer, and the shit went through. But and then it came back a couple of days because I think they went over because so many people were doing it. So by the time I got to the account thing, I think it had that video had like three 3.5 million views. So I think like 50, all these people were doing it with the bank account. So by the time I got to it, they had I think they had some type of scam for the different things going through. I'm like, man, so they out here, it lets you know that, you know, there's shit going on behind the scenes that you have no idea that involves you. It involves you. So just, you know, just showing you that real quick.
So they believe that the IRS has secret accounts held in the name of each one of us. So if I or you only knew the correct documents to file with the government, we could break loose these funds from the government, which would be forced to pay them to us.
And
needless to say,
is this associated with that theory? I've actually had people call into my radio show and try to argue this, that because their name is in all caps on their birth certificate, that they're actually a corporation, or the government's a corporation, and they're not. Maybe you can explain it better than me, but does this have to do with the all caps on the birth certificate thing?
Yes, it does. They believe that the government puts your name in all capital letters on your birth certificate in particular, because that somehow allows the government to sell your future value of your work and so on. They have a whole set of really bizarro beliefs related to punctuation, capitalization.
Now, this is the fucked up thing. So they'll air something like this, but it's a fact that your birth certificates are sold on the stock market. That's not a lie. Anybody can check that up. It's not like something no one can check out. Nigga, anyone with a computer that can go and check out a QSIP and the number on your birth certificate and go check it out on Dun & Bradstreet or the stock market exchange and put the number in, and it'll come back. Like, this is like, what the fuck? So this is, you know, this is the misinformation type of people that they'll throw out there, because they, you know, when they don't want you to know some real shit.
That's OCD, OCD combined with paranoid schizophrenia kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that homeless people come up with about, you know, they're out there watching me. I can't go indoors. I mean, who's the guy who started this?
Well, it really began in the Posse Comitatus, a violently anti-Semitic and racist group in the late 70s and the 1980s. They came up with this idea, as well as a whole batch of related ideas that really have informed the militia movement and much of the radical right ever since. For instance, it was in the Posse that the idea, the related idea of county supremacy came up, that there is no higher legitimate law enforcement officer than the county sheriff. That, of course, is the belief that informed the people at the Clive and Bundy Ranch this April, when we very nearly saw a bloodbath, when there was a confrontation between his supporters and the Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah, and I want to get to that Clive and Bundy thing first.
And what happened with Clive and Bundy? So he's saying they believe this crazy, that the sheriffs are this and the and what happened with Clive and Bundy? Y'all know this story? What happened with that dude?
Nothing, was it? It was a standoff, wasn't it?
And it was
about his herd?
Huh?
About his herd, about his property?
Yeah. What happened? Yeah, what happened up ultimately with Clive and Bundy?
They got off his land, didn't they?
Yep, they got the fuck out. They had to bounce. He won. Get the fuck out. Now, if it's all bullshit, how the hell did he win? Oh, they believe this crazy. Oh my God, yeah. Cliven was like, kick rocks. y'all can kick rocks off the land. Now, Clive and Bundy don't really own the land. Aboriginals own the land. You have a better title to the land, and that's your real status. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
One real quick question: is there an association between between this movement and Waco, and then I think it was 2 years later.
Look at how they try to attach this to Waco. Crazy ass David Koresh he was on some old. He was God. He believed he was Jesus, reincarnated. And look how they equate this to that. He's just trying to say the government that you believe in is bullshit, and we got proof of that. But because you are such sheeple, you won't even look at the evidence. You just call somebody who makes that claim crazy. But what happened? Get off my shit. So again, the reason we're watching this is just to show you guys the negative connotation that sovereign movement the sovereign movement has, and why you need to be very careful about making moves.
Hey, blowing up the federal building?
Well, Tim McVeigh's partner in the 1995 blowing up the building in Oklahoma City, Terry Nichols, was in fact a sovereign citizen. He held what was then referred to as an asseveration ceremony, in which he declared that he was a sovereign citizen, and thus, or so he believed, he severed all ties to the government. He was
really quickly before it gets out of here. So he said it was started with Posse Comitatus in the 70s, late 70s and 80s. The reason the Posse Comitatus, the main reason that they started this militia movement, with the weapons and stuff like that. Before I say it, does anybody know why? Can you guess why? 70s, early 70s, all the way through the 70s, 80s.
Panthers.
Huh?
Panthers, Black Panthers.
Black Panthers. Huey. Go look at old footage, first of all, Huey. Huey looked like a damn bodybuilder. Like, go look, there's a picture of Huey. I think he was coming out of jail or something like that. He was standing on top of a car. Huey was cut. Dude, he looked like he's a Olympic athlete. Big, swole, crazy dude, nigga, talking smart as fuck. Because he knew the law. They was college students, him and Bobby. They was like, what? And they got guns? Oh, nigga, what? They was like, huh? Caucasians weren't worried about the Second Amendment until Huey Newton. He's the one who brought the information out about the Second Amendment. The Black Panthers. To show them that, nigga, you can't take our guns when we're sitting on the street. And then Caucasians were seeing this and was like, how come you're not arresting the niggers? And then the information came out, oh, well, we can't arrest them because of the Second Amendment. And so then that's how the IRA got jumped. That's how the IRA got smashed. The NRA, excuse me. So the NRA got smashed. They were like, what? Niggas can have guns? Nigga, that scared the shit out of Caucasians. That niggas can have guns legally. Nigga, they started gunning up like a motherfucker. So that was the reason for it. That's the whole reason for your sovereign movement, really, was the Black Panthers.
longer a slave, in which he declared that he was a sovereign citizen, and thus, or so he believed, he severed all ties to the government. He was no longer a slave of the government. These are people who believe that if in a legal document you capitalize the U in United States, that you have somehow acknowledged that the government is real and has real power, and you become a slave as a result. So they have all kinds of strange punctuation practices that reflect their beliefs.
Mark, a recent report out from the SPLC, your group argued that the Bundy Ranch standoff was highly coordinated, reflecting threats of larger far-right militia movement. Explain that.
Well, we had a reporter on the scene at the Bundy Ranch who talked to the primary organizer of the snipers at the ranch, a man named Ryan Payne, a militia leader, who explained in great detail how he and Clive and Bundy, the night before the big confrontation on April 12th, actually planned the positions of the snipers among the militiamen who came out to support the Bundys. So in other words, they were, in effect, conspiring to set up a situation in which these militiamen would be able to train their weapons on the law enforcement officials the next day, and that's precisely what happened. Really, the other part was the idea that the Bundy standoff and the fact that the BLM backed down has really energized the radical right. They feel they want a great victory.
We have less than a minute left, about a half a minute. To what extent does this tie into the old Turner Diaries novel about how government overreach leads to all the good white Christians rising up with their guns and killing people of color and Jews?
Well, the Turner Diaries were explicitly racist and anti-Semitic, and in fact, sovereign citizen ideology initially started as a white supremacist idea. The theory was that Black people cannot be sovereign citizens because they are only citizens by virtue of the 14th Amendment. That was an act of government. Therefore, when they accepted citizenship in that way, Black people became slaves of the government.
Woo! Now, those motherfuckers is breaking that shit off. See, this was because niggas had guns. So it was like, these niggas don't have the right to have guns. They not sovereign. They're not free. The whole reason for the sovereign movement was to take the guns away from the niggas, the Black Panthers. And they looked in there and they was like, oh, wait a minute. You ain't got no rights under the 14th Amendment? Therefore, you don't have the right to have guns. So now you see, again, you are the initiators of everything, or you the cause for everything. Niggas, Caucasians running scared. You got sovereign citizen movements 40 years later because niggas were scared, Caucasians scared niggas had guns in the street and was able to call cops pigs without being taken to jail.
So there's a relationship to racist ideology, although that's been largely forgotten in the last few years.
Mark Potog, thanks so much for illuminating the issue for us and for the great work you do. Thanks, Mark.
A real pleasure. Thanks.
So just so you guys, so when you're dealing with sovereignty or you're dealing with law, you're dealing with, we told this before, common law and statutory law. So there's different types of, as we get in, we watch these sovereignty videos, and all this different type of shit. There's so many different type of movements going on, like I said at the beginning. So you want to find your lane and stick in your lane, because in court you have to be right and correct. So that means you can't be mixed matching philosophies and bring it in here and be, bring one law from here and another law from there and try to mix match them. It ain't gonna work. Excuse me, it's not gonna work. So, like the Moors have their line to push. We're Moors. We got the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that gives us power and force in America, because Morocco was the first to recognize America. And blah. They really say that America is Morocco. They say it's Al-Morocco or a Mexican, which it's not. And so this is the holes, and that's where the holes are in their philosophy when they're trying to say that Morocco owned this landmass. Like, dude, how can Morocco own this landmass when the Lenape Aboriginals are 12 to 15,000 years old on this landmass right here, and there was no Morocco 12 to 15,000 years ago. It was nowhere near existence. So what are you talking about? How can this be Morocco, Al-Morocco, or a Mexican? It's documented. The Lenape themselves document how long they've been here. So that's why they call it the Lenape. It means the original people. That's their name. It's in their name. So, you want to have what's the best claim. You want to have what's the most efficient, best, airtight, adamantium, vibranium claim that you can stake, on your stats. And so the sovereign cats, it's not their land, so they had to not create a status, but pull a status out of the law that they had, as far as the what they call the forefathers of the government, what they actually intended, which was to break away from a tyrannical government, over in England. And so they're taking those. They're trying to. These militia groups are trying to ride on those principles of no tyranny. Our government was created to fight tyranny. If the government gets tyrannical, we have the right to tear it down and this and that, which is how the government was created. But law is all fucked up in this aspect. No future generation should be bound to go off of laws that was created, hundreds of years before them. That's just stupid. Laws should change every generation, or each generation should have the right to vote on if we agree with the principles that were set forth this long time, this many moons ago, or this many suns ago, and do they worked back then, but do these principles and laws work for us now? Every generation should have the right to vote on that, but they don't. We showed you how this shit is just bullshit. It's jail. Like you're going off a document that you have no say in, that's running your damn life. How the fuck some old ass motherfuckers from 400 years ago gonna tell me how to run my life today with Google and cell phones and flat screens and and cars and all this and that, nigga, not horse drawn buggies. What the hell are they gonna know about living in today that we can't at least look at some of the principles that they had put forth and see if they still apply today. So that's the fucked up thing. First off, about the American government. But the other thing is, again, it didn't leave their citizens with a true connection to the land. So I'm going to show you. So again, there's common law and statutory law, right? So you got your Constitution. So we go to the very first part of the Constitution, and first of all, get your law dictionary out. Make sure you all got your Black's Law 4. Sorry, Chris, not the pocket one.
I got the Bouvier. I got Bouvier too.
Oh, you got Bouvier?
Yeah.
It's not the pocket one, is it?
No, it's the one you had a picture of.
Okay.
That time.
Okay. Yeah, you can use that one. But this is Constitution right here. So, okay. Go ahead. So read the preamble. Okay. And the reason we're doing this because, see, back in the day when I started in all this, we were called preamble citizens, right? So, meaning your whole law is locked up within the preamble if you know how to read it, if you know how to break it down. And this is why you should always get into the habit of defining every word that you don't truly understand. Every word, really, because most words you think you understand, you really don't know. Like the word bad meaning pedophile. So, you know what I'm saying? That would be the key evidence in convicting Michael Jackson. And all the other bullshit, nigga, he made a song called Bad, and bad means pedophile. So nigga, that'd be the key thing. But so just saying, so just make sure you guys look up your words in every word. And so when you go to the preamble, and so before we look up the word, it says, read it off for me.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union.
Stop right there. The very first part said, we the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then what did I just say? Lenny Lenape meant, or Lenape meant.
The original people.
Yeah, we the original people.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. This is where they got the Constitution from. So this is why your power is connected to this Constitution. The fact that these niggas use literally the very first part of the Lenapes, who are the very first people on the land. So we the people, we the original people. Keep going.
Okay. Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Mm-hmm. Now this is very codified. We're gonna break it down in a second. But what that preamble says is somebody gave us a privilege, and we're gonna lock it up in our law. Somebody hooked us up, and we're gonna basically secure this privilege that someone has given us, and we're gonna do it in our laws in case we need to. And so basically the reason they did this was because they had already had the Articles of Confederation. And so that had been around for about 10 years before they did this Constitution. And at that time, they were like, well, shit, Britain, if Britain comes back in here and put the smackdown on us, we've been riding for 10 years, creating wealth. Like, you know, they've been using the land and selling and, you know, and doing everything they could, slavery and all kind of shit. So they were like, if Britain comes back over here and takes over the land, then we're fucked. We don't have anything. If they come back over here and they fight us and they defeat us, then we got to give up everything because we go back under the British crown. So what they did was they created this constitutional document, which was a combination of the Aboriginal law and trust law. Because trust law in corporate law is valid, is positive law in England, and it's international law. So what they did was they said, okay, if what we'll do is, if England comes back and they put the smackdown on us and they take up everything, we'll still have the right to keep it under British law if we get put back under the crown. Because we're gonna basically put this under two types of law: Aboriginal law, Great Law of Peace, and our own British law, common law. And so that's why, excuse me, and excuse me, so that's why the colonists, or this constitution, was created to secure everything that they had been riding, that was given to them, that they had the privilege of producing and riding with for that 10-year period, or since they had gotten here. And so I'm going to ask you, so now, since we're talking about them giving the privilege, who gave them the privilege?
That would be the Aboriginals.
How so?
Well, the Aboriginals gave them the
By saying this land is your land?
Gave the land in trust.
How so?
I don't know.
No, so you're all kind of right. You're kind of tip dancing around it. So let's read the Constitution again. It'll all make sense. So let me break it down. So again, go back, read from perfect union, more perfect union.
Okay. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense.
Stop. Provide for the common defense. Does anybody know what common means, or what a common is? Don't look it up. Don't look it up yet. Don't look it up. Nobody look it up yet. Does anybody know off the bat? You ever heard the word the commons? Like in Britain, there's the commons. Anybody ever heard that? Commons or something like that?
Heard of it,
Like
vaguely.
for the community, right?
Huh?
That like for the community.
Yeah. So it's a
Like a shared space, a shared area.
Right. So it's a shared area for. You just looked it up, did?
No, I was thinking about like the commons at the college. You know how they have like the commons.
Oh, right. That's where it comes from. Right.
Right.
So the commons comes from England, and the commons was, because all the England is owned by the queen or the king. So commons was a piece of land that the crown allowed the community to share. The lower class people to share, where they could, they can come together and they can use the land and kind of plan on it and, build a couple of houses to sleep on and shit like that. Just little shit. They can do their little thing. And it was the commons, and the queen allowed it, or the king allowed it. So, that's over in Britain. Now, those are little small areas, that 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 one person owns. And so basically what a common is when that person allows you to use it, right? So go back to common now. Now you can read the definition out of the Black's Law Dictionary. So we had two. Remember, we got two different definitions. So that's the known definition. That's the accepted connotation of common. Yeah, common. Yeah, is a public area designated for an open space, an open land designated for public use. Now read common out of the dictionary.
It reads an incorporeal hereditament.
An incorporeal hereditament. Does anybody know what that means?
No.
An incorporeal hereditament. No one knows what that means. Incorporeal. What does corporeal mean? Does anybody know it? If I say corp, see, this is where we get into language.
Corporation.
What does corp come from? What does the word corp come from?
Army, Corps.
Huh?
Army, well, military.
Corp? C-O-R-P is short for what?
Corp.
Huh?
Corporation.
No.
Corpus.
What did you say, Tiff?
Corpus.
What does that mean? What is a corpus?
I don't know. That's some Latin. I don't know.
Does that have to do with death or anything dead or not alive?
When you go to the morgue, what's in the morgue?
Dead
A
people.
corpse.
What is a corpse in the morgue? It's a what?
A dead body.
It's a body. So
Body.
corpse means body. Right?
Got you.
So corporeal means body. The word corporeal, that's where corpse comes from. It comes from the word corporeal. It means to have body. Incorporeal means without body. It's not physical.
Uh-huh.
I can't touch it. Okay? So an incorporeal hereditament. Hereditament is it has the same word as to inherit. See, it's the same word. So the word incorporeal hereditament means an inheritance, something that I've inherited without body. And that would be something like an idea, a privilege, or a right. So you can pass down a privilege or right or something like that. Mostly it'll just be a privilege or a right that someone's given you that you can pass down to your lineage. Now keep going after that.
An incorporeal hereditament, which consists in a profit.
I was talking to Tish.
Oh.
All right. An incorporeal hereditament, which consists in a profit which one man has in connection with one or more others in the land of another.
So go back and read that one more time from the tippy top.
All right. An incorporeal hereditament, which consists in a profit which one man has in connection with one or more others in the land of another.
So an incorporeal hereditament that consists in a profit that one man has. What that one man has with others?
In connection with one or more others.
So
in the land of another.
In the land of another. So basically, what that's saying is somebody has given the right to be able to use somebody's land and make a profit on it. That's all that means. It's a right or a privilege. It's really a privilege. You don't have the right. Only the people that's born to the land has rights. So the people who an incorporeal hereditament would be a privilege. So it's a privilege given by the Aboriginals. When the colonists first got over here, who did they meet up with? The Aboriginals that said, "Yo, we all family. We family under the mother, under the great mother and the great father. You know what I'm saying? We don't really own land. We're only custodians of land. So of course, you know what I'm saying? We'll set y'all up. Don't worry. Don't even trip. But we are the first motherfuckers over here. So we just can't give y'all the same shit that we got. But we can give y'all the privilege of being on this land and teach you guys how to survive." So that was, that's what was given to the colonists. Now if you go over this and you would look at most scholars would read over this, and they would say, when you read over the common part, and you say to promote the common defense. So you would say, well, what is the common defense? They would say, well, the commons were the commons, where people go and they sit in. So we just had to defend. No, that doesn't make any sense, because who's talking right now are states. These are different states that are talking at the time when they're signing when you're signing the Constitution. So as states, what is the common area for the states? What's the commons for all the states?
The land.
The land. The whole goddamn continent. Well, whatever land was given to them by the Aboriginals at the time. It wasn't the continent. It was only 13 states. So that's why the common thing falls apart, because nigga, it's not like we're in a town and there's a designated little piece of area in the middle of town called the commons. These are states talking. What is the commons for the states, fool? That would be all the area, all the land.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Tish, I think there's something in the fine print on that one, is it?
In English, law is an incorporeal right which lies in grant, originally commencing on some agreement between lords and tenants, which by time has been formed into prescription and continues good, although there be no deed or instrument to prove the original contract.
It's the next one, though. That's the next one.
Okay. Common, or a right of common, the right or privilege which several persons have to the produce of the land.
No, read that over. Very important. You're reading law. You have to read very carefully.
Okay. Common, or a right of common, is a right or privilege which several persons have to the produce of the lands or waters of another.
Right. So the natives came and said, look, we're gonna hook y'all up. Y'all niggas got off the boat. We're gonna hook y'all up. We're gonna show y'all niggas how to fish. We're gonna show y'all how to plant some corn, how to skin some bears. They keep your asses warm. We're gonna do all this shit. But y'all niggas can't own the land. You can use the land, but you can't own it. We good? Word. All right, word. That what was going on right there. Unless some tribes, they seceded the land, which means they bought it or they were able to give up the land. So some tribes did that, but right off the bat, the deal was you don't own the land. You're only able to use the land. So or in that part of the Constitution is a major part of the Constitution. But then keep going. Mel, you were reading the preamble.
Okay. Let's see. Preamble. Let's see. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and the blessings of liberty to ourselves.
No. You just left out a whole word.
What?
You said, and the blessings.
And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves.
Stop right there. So, secure the blessings of liberty. What is liberty? Does anybody know?
Liberty is a privilege.
What do you mean? What is liberty exactly?
It's supposed to be some type of freedom, but it's given.
Right. Given freedom. Freedom with constraints is how it's defined.
Or conditions, I guess.
Not conditions, constraints.
Okay.
You can go here but not there. You can go here but not there. Don't step your foot over this line or I'm gonna cut it off. That's what liberty is.
Yeah, in the military, they go off base.
Off
You
base.
got a 3-day pass or a 3-day liberty or something like that.
You got to bring your ass back by Sunday at 5 p.m. or you get marked up. Sometimes the ship will leave without your ass. So, and then you're in world trouble after that though. So, secure the blessings of liberty. So, blessing, liberty, the freedom to be able to kind of do what we need to do in this land has been blessed upon us. See, everything they're saying is not, you know what I'm saying? And I know when most people say blessing, they think it's coming from God. But God don't give you liberty, he give you freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom and liberty are two different things. And if you look up the word, so secure the blessings of liberty. Yeah, the Aboriginals here gave us the freedom with constraints to be able to do what we need to do, live, and raise our families. That's a blessing because they didn't have to do that. They could have killed us all once we got off the boat.
Yeah.
Which they probably should have did. They would have been better off. They smoked all the meat. But, you know what I'm saying? Secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves. So, and our posterity. Meaning we're going to hand down. See, this shows you where that common thing is. That word common.
Mm-hmm.
Secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Now, again, Tish, what is a common? What was the very first two words you read in common? So, who got it?
An incorporeal hereditament.
Hereditament.
Hereditament. Okay.
An incorporeal hereditament. Now, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. An incorporeal hereditament, meaning a privilege that's been handed down. Again. So we're gonna get the privilege that's been given to us, and then we're gonna hand it down to our kids. Everything is encoded within your preamble. It lets you know that they don't have this land. The land that they have was given to them only for a short time, or with some stipulations, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You better be on some act right, or we coming back for the land. So your Constitution. So this is why, you know what I'm saying, your Constitution this Constitution is pretty important because you want to use their laws against them. Of course, you had your own law. As Aboriginals, we had our own laws and all that type of stuff. And you definitely want to revisit that type of stuff if you're claiming your Aboriginal status. You don't need to let those old traditions run you. Again, when people do that, they trip me out. Like, nigga, someone's older life is supposed to mean more than your new life. Why the fuck does the shit that they did in the past mean more than what you want to do now? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Why is their life more than yours? And their views and visions and rituals and shit that they did worth more than what you want to do. That makes no sense. You do your own shit that makes sense to you. That's ritualistic. You create your own frequency and vibration. Now you can pay respect to the ancients and how they did what they did, but you don't have to do what they did. You can take some shit that incorporated in your new shit, but you know what I'm saying, that whole stuff it kills me. You know what I'm saying, with the old the ancients have a lock on how your future and how far you can go. And we didn't believe that type of stuff. See, this lets you know that this didn't come from us, because in the things that we built, we left room for the next generation. We looked at nature and we saw a leaf, and we saw how if you look at a leaf petal, when you go around the petal, each petal is expressed. It's like, so even if you go in a row, the top row, the very next bottom row, they won't be overlapped. The petal on the bottom row will be perfectly visible away from the top petal on the side of it. so that you can see both the top pedal and the bottom level, in the bottom pedal, meaning when the pedal was being created, it left room for the expression for the next generation, or the next layer, the next time to come after. And we always thought like that. So even the temples that were built in ancient Kemet, the way they're built is the pharaohs used to build it with room for the next pharaoh to come and add to it himself. And each pharaoh had to follow that philosophy and path. It was just universal law. All right, you add yours, but nigga, this don't belong to you. It belongs to who came before. It also does belong to you, but it belongs to the people who will come after. So make sure you respect all of those. Yeah, nigga, yeah, it was great before. Do your thing, and then say, all right, new niggas, take it and run with it and do what you need to do. The blessings of liberty in ourselves. Oh, say, keep going.
Okay. And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Right. So it says, what Constitution?
This Constitution for the United States of America.
What's the operative word?
Couple of them, for and of.
Oh, somebody says what? Somebody said
This.
yeah, this and what did you just say, Mal?
In addition to that, for and of.
So for is the most operative word. So whenever you see the Constitution or any of the Constitution referenced, what does it always say? In society, just in regular society, you'll always see the Constitution. If you see the Constitution referenced anywhere by a person or in writing, how does it always come out? The Constitution what?
Of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States of America. All right, I want somebody pull out the dictionary and read for and of. One take each.
We still doing this with Black's Law, or?
Good nigga, ain't no other damn dictionary. But this.
Okay, I got of.
Yep.
A term denoting that from which anything proceeds, indicating origin, source, descent, and the like, as he is of a race of kings, he is of noble blood, associated with or connected with, usually in some casual relation, efficient, material, formal, or final.
Okay. Now, the very beginning. A term denoting that from which anything proceeds, indicating origin, source, descent, and the like. So the Constitution is for the United. That's what it literally, it says it right there. And it doesn't say we establish, do ordain, and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. They could have easily put that in there.
Okay.
So,
right.
Yes, for.
For, in behalf of, in place of, in lieu of, instead of, representing, as being which, or equivalent to which, and sometimes imports agency.
Mm-hmm. So there's one at the bottom.
Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
All right. During, throughout, for the period of.
Not that one. Go all the way down. Go all the way down to
belonging to. Okay. Belonging to, exercising authority or functions within, as where one describes himself as a notary, or this is quote, a notary public in and for the said county, end quote.
That's the difference. One denoting that it came from it. This means for belonging to, exercising authority or a function or functions within. Exercising authority or functions within. So The Constitution of the United States of America is an actual constitution of the corporation. So remember, you have two different governments. You have a republic and you got a democracy. You can see this is why they push democracy all the time. Two different governments, republic government and a democratic government. And so most people can hear, you know, the American Republic, we're in a republic or whatever, but they're pushed democracy on a daily basis. We're in this is a democracy, and democracy is king, and we world democracy and democracy. And no one ever looks the fucking word up or hear or know where it came from, or understand what the hell it means, or no one even questions why the hell do we call ourselves a democracy when it says republic, and the word democracy is nowhere in the Constitution.
Right.
Nowhere. In this whole big ass Constitution, if you with all those, how smart those motherfuckers was, because they didn't have ESPN and YouTube taking up the goddamn attention. They was always in books. So smart as those motherfuckers were back in the day. You mean to tell me they just forgot?
Nah, they didn't forget.
That's what I'm talking about. So again, words are getting into this dictionary is going to be key to you understanding law, because certain words that you think mean something. It's as small as what we just saw right now, as for and of. So you got the democratic government with the Constitution of the United States of America, and then you have a republic with the Constitution for the United States of America.